Welcome back to another episode 5. So far, Napoleon Bonaparte's empire was built on an intricate dance between grandeur and pragmatism. For many, the dream of glory was fueled by the tales of military triumph, and that was supposed to be the heartbeat of the Napoleonic era. Yes, for those who served under him, the reality often came down to the practical rewards of state positions, like managing a tobacco shop, for example. Napoleon's France was shaped by a profound contradiction: the dream of glory versus the practicality of stability. The promise of glory inspired entire generations. For example, we have Alfred de Vigny, a poet born in 1797. He described how deeply this dream pervaded in his youth. He mentions, "At school, the teachers never stopped reading us the bulletins of the Grand Armée, and our shouts of 'Long live the Emperor!' interrupted Tacitus and Plato. Our instructors resembled heralds of arms. Our study rooms were like barracks, our recesses like maneuvers, and our exams like reviews." For boys growing up under Napoleon, glory wasn't just a concept, it was their destiny, instilled in them since childhood. Yet the reality for most soldiers was more grounded. After years of service, they could expect practical rewards, like state-assigned positions such as running a tobacco shop. This duality, glory on one hand and tangible stability on the other, defined the experience of Napoleon's soldiers. They were a generation that could dream of greatness and at the same time find satisfaction in the security the system provided. A letter from Delanois, a former officer in the Sardinian army who served later in Napoleon's army alongside his brother, perfectly captures the loyalty and admiration Napoleon inspired. Delanois wrote, "To have the right to share almost half of all the civil positions after such an act of generosity as that of the soldier. What officer would not give up to the last drop of his blood for such magnanimous sovereign, the likes of which had never existed? My brother Amedeo obtained a tobacco shop in Mont Blanc, in the Mont Blanc department." This illustrates the journey from glory to practical rewards, bringing an entire segment of French society to the myth of the emperor. Not everyone was convinced by Napoleon's imperial ambitions. Critics grumbled, questioning what legitimacy the empire had. What kind of farce is this empire? Since when it is the empire? Nevertheless, Napoleon embraced his role with determination, drawing inspiration from historical figures like Charlemagne. For instance, Napoleon commissioned the Vendôme column, crafted from the bronze of the cannons captured at Austerlitz. Initially, he planned to top it with a statue of Charlemagne, but later chose his own likeness to avoid confusion. Still, Charlemagne's influence remained central. During Napoleon's coronation in Notre Dame, great effort was made to replicate Charlemagne's coronation. A sword attributed to Charlemagne was retrieved from a museum for the ceremony, and when the original crown of Charlemagne couldn't be found, a replica was made. These gestures highlighted Napoleon's desire to position himself as a modern Charlemagne, linking his reign to both glory and historical continuity. Charlemagne's coronation in Rome at St. Peter's Basilica provided a template that Napoleon deliberately reinterpreted. Charlemagne had traveled to Rome, knelt before the Pope, and accepted the crown from him, symbolizing the Church's authority to confer imperial power. Napoleon, however, had other plans, declaring, "Pour l'éclat, je suis Charlemagne. For the grandeur, I am Charlemagne." He reshaped the ritual to assert his independence. Napoleon demanded that the Pope travel to Paris for the coronation, reversing Charlemagne's pilgrimage to Rome. Most significantly, at the ceremony in Notre Dame, Napoleon staged a dramatic moment with the Pope seated and offering his blessing, and Napoleon grabbed the crown and crowned himself. This act symbolized that his authority came from himself and not the church. Napoleon's supporters celebrated the symbolism, declaring, "This title, that of European emperor, places you above kings. It assimilates you to Charlemagne." Yet there were skeptics who dismissed the spectacle as a farce. Even Napoleon seemed aware of the fine line between grandeur and absurdity, famously remarking, "There is only one step from the sublime to the ridiculous." The coronation itself embodied this tension. Marshals and newly minted princes, many of whom had risen from humble origins, now paraded in elaborate uniforms and medieval-style costumes designed specifically for the event. Well, these men, who had achieved their positions through merit and military prowess, now played roles in a scene that seemed almost theatrical. Napoleon and his brothers themselves, they couldn't help but reflect on their improbable rise. Before the ceremony, Napoleon reportedly said to his brother Joseph, "If our father could see us now." Napoleon's coronation was, in many ways, a grand illusion, majestic on the surface, but as fragile as papier-mâché. It was a carefully orchestrated spectacle where everyone involved seemed willing to suspend disbelief, embracing a narrative that was often inconsistent or unclear. The success of the event relied as much as on collective pretense as on the crown itself. This culture of pretense extended beyond the coronation and into the very fabric of Napoleon's empire. A revealing testimony from Mole, Napoleon's Minister of Justice, paints a picture of a world where principles were secondary to ambition. Mole observed, "Everyone, to make their career, pretended not to understand or to be convinced. No one spoke according to their own conscience. The atheists preached of a religion, and the Christians boasted of being philosophers. The Republicans spoke of monarchy. The supporters of absolute authority boasted liberal ideas. The victims of the revolution professed impartiality, and the murderers of Louis XVI boasted of the virtues of their victim." This atmosphere of opportunism created a fragile empire, one that appeared grand but was built on shaky foundations. The fragility became terrifyingly clear during the disastrous Russian campaign. Napoleon had worked tirelessly to create a dynasty with his marriage to Maria Luisa and the birth of his son, the King of Rome, a title meant to signify the future emperor. The reference to Charlemagne and medieval traditions reinforced the image of stability and continuity. As the Russian campaign faltered and bad news reached Paris, the empire's vulnerability were exposed. In a remarkable incident, we already discussed about this incident before throughout the ruinous Russian campaign, but here we have a little bit more details. Do you remember General Claude François Desmalets, the officer who went around while Napoleon was away saying that the emperor died? Well, here he is again. We have a little bit more details in this regard. He was a staunch opponent of Napoleon, who had been confined to a psychiatric hospital. Escaped, disguised in his general's uniform, Mallet boldly declared that Napoleon was dead, freed regime opponents from prison, and attempted to seize control. Mallet's defiant actions sent shockwaves through the empire, revealing cracks beneath the facade of grandeur and loyalty. His attempt to take power during Napoleon's absence highlighted the fragility of the regime. Accompanied by soldiers, Mallet marched through the ministries, arrested several ministers, and declared Napoleon dead. though he was eventually captured and executed. The chaos he caused exposed deeper cracks in the empire's foundations. As Malay carried out his arrests, the ministers who escaped fled in disarray. The prefect of the Seine began organizing an emergency republican government. Remarkably, no one thought to approach Empress Maria Luisa to declare Napoleon's son, the King of Rome, as the new emperor. The absence of such action underscored the precariousness actually, of the empire and the uncertain future of Napoleon's dynasty. Aware of these vulnerabilities, Napoleon sought to fortify his rule in every way possible. One strategy was the reconciliation with the church, a move that was both celebrated and reviled. Many held Napoleon as the man who restored harmony between France and Christianity, while others condemned him for betraying the secular ideas of the revolution. Napoleon's reign was a masterclass in political pragmatism, where his relationship with the church became a tool for both stability and control. As we saw, his approach was marked by contradictions, publicly embracing religion while privately dismissing its significance. In the next episode, we will delve deeper into Napoleon's complex relationship with faith, examining how he used religion to shape his empire and secure his rule. Was his alliance with the church genuine, or simply a calculated move in the game of politics and ruling? We will find out next time. Thank you for following up on episode 5, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.